Okay, it says we are live. Everybody, welcome to Little John Yarns. I'm Alicia. If this is your very first time here, every Saturday I do a live stream, and if you notice something different, I have somebody with me here today who's joining me. Is Christel Watts. She is an amazing crochet designer. All of you have been asking me, how do you create a crochet pattern? And I couldn't put it in a word, so I had to bring in this wonderful professional. So, Christel, thank you. How are you doing today?
Hi, nice to be here. I'm doing well. I was just saying to you earlier, we are having a heat wave, so I'm glowing today.
No, you're glowing in like a good way. Like we said, before we start our live stream, everybody, I like to chat just the two of us behind the scene. Right now in Pennsylvania, United States, it is a cool 69 degrees. It's a rainy day, and you guys aren't seeing my pit stains today. So wherever you're at right now, let me know what time it is. What time it is. Right now for me, it's 2 o'clock. What time is it for you right now?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Okay. Oh,
at night.
At night. So we got a nice 6-hour time difference. It is so hard trying to figure out like going to time zone math. And I'm like, if I call you here, it's okay. All right. So guys, I'm going to show you some of her work so you don't think I'm just bringing any slouch off the street. If she's not. So check this out real quick. Here we go. Some of Christel's work. Look at this, her Bella Borello. I know you guys must have found these on Pinterest somewhere because I ran across your work even before Reggie suggested you to me. You have absolutely gorgeous work. So just so you know that, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, and before we get into this interview, as usual, you can always help support your crochet or anybody influencers on YouTube by donating through Super Chat. If you're on your mobile device, you'll notice down below a little $sign. If you're on a desktop, you'll notice right here a little $sign. When you click that, you'll be able to donate. And by doing that, I can continue coming out with interviews like this. And just like last week, I'm going to do a giveaway. So anybody that donates through Super Chat, you will receive 3 skeins of Line Brand yarn. This is called Ferris Wheel yarn. This is open to anybody in the world, not just the United States. So if anybody decides to donate through Super Chat, you will get your name on this little card right here and put into the bowl behind me. You cannot see the bowl behind me, but it's right here. And if you donate anything $4.99 and down, you'll notice this disco light will go off. If you donate $9.99 and down, the bubble machine and disco light will go off. If you donate anything $10 and up, the balloon blower, the bubble machine, and the disco light will go off. Oh my goodness, that is a tongue twister. I dropped Dietta's card. Sorry, Dietta. And Dietta is one of our new moderators in the lives today. So welcome and thank you, everybody. I'm getting so used to saying that a lot, Christel. This is like memorized.
Wonderful, Kevin.
So enough about me. We're going to get into you. So when did you start crocheting?
I was a knitter before for about a year or two, and then my hands started getting really crampy, and I realized that it was not working with my anxiety. So I switched to crochet about 4 years ago. And I started designing patterns about 9 months ago.
Wait. We got a Super Chat, and the things didn't go off in the back. I don't know why my alarms are set up, but thank you so much. We got a Super Chat from J Hook Crochet. She's one of our moderators. Good evening, ladies. Let's kick this off. Love you both a lot. But I'm sorry your things didn't go off in the background, but I'm going to put you in a Reggie. I want to let you go off just for you anyhow. Here we go. There you go. You are entered into win.
Awesome.
So you just began crocheting 4 years ago. Before you answer this or any question I'm about to ask, there are so many people that say, I've been crocheting for 15 years. I am just a beginner. And you have been crocheting for 4 years and only pattern designing for 9 months. Did you find like this was something natural for you, that when you started this, because you started with knit, do you feel crochet is easier than knit?
I felt that there's more control. Oh, awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Connie. Go ahead. You continue.
I enjoyed the amount of control in crochet, because with knitting, I felt like the whole thing was one thing the whole time. And with crochet, you have one stitch at a time to worry about. And there's just so much more you can do in terms of shaping and, just on the fly. With knitting, you have to kind of plan it a long way in advance. But crochet is I just thought it was more flexible. So in a way, I suppose it did come naturally to me. I felt a sense of relief switching. So I can't switch back.
What led you into pattern designing?
It was actually a little bit by accident, because I saw a picture of a very, very cute dress on Facebook or somewhere, and I was trying to find something to make for my grandniece in South Africa, because I wanted to send it for Christmas. And I really loved this design, but it was based on a kind of yoke, but it went straight down, and I felt I wanted something that had twirl to it, because little girls like twirly dresses.
Yeah.
And so I was messing around with the shapes, and then I started looking at sewing patterns to just kind of see what shapes dresses are when you cut them out and make them. And the one I looked at, the skirt was just a circle, and I thought, well, I can crochet a circle, take a circle blanket and just start a few rows in instead of in the center.
Yeah.
And then I came upon the 12-pointed star blanket, and I thought, oh man, that would be amazing for a dress. And I adapted it a bit, changed it to 8 points. Well, I first did one with 10, and I just kind of designed it as I went. Keeping this little girl is a fairy, if you saw her, and her name is Abigail. And
so pretty.
And I kept thinking about her, sort of what she would love, and just started making this thing and came up with this little dress, and I loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to make another one for her sister. And then I made another one, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to set this down, because it felt special. And I shared it with a couple of my friends, and they were all like, oh, we want the pattern. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I'm really gonna have to put it down. So it started with that one dress, and that's the one that's pretty much been the star of my galaxy so far, is the Abigail fairy dress. And then from there, I liked the points and the flair of things, so I kind of translated that into some capes and into some other dresses. So I'm a little bit stuck in that formula for now. I'm starting to branch out into sort of non pointy bits at the bottom, but I keep coming back to it because I love it so much. And with the gradients, I love. I'm addicted to gradient yarns. I cannot pass one by. So a lot of my patterns incorporate gradient yarns, yarn cakes, whirls or twirls or those things, because I just love how the flare goes into from the dark to the light. And yeah, so at the moment I'm just playing.
See, I love the way that you stated how you took a basic circle pattern. This is somehow people can't think outside of the box, where you can take your pattern basically from anywhere. When we were talking, remember when the messy bun hat became spiral? All I did was take every single hat pattern and started on row 3.
Exactly.
You can find a pattern from anywhere. So now I'm going to ask you some questions that came earlier in the week. I asked a lot of my followers on my Facebook group. You can find all the information for the Facebook down below, on what are some questions that you have about pattern design. So before we hop into that, everybody, Christel is having a sale in her shop. It is a buy one, get one pattern free. All her information is linked down in the description box below, and 20% will be donated to any one of my choices, Black Lives Matter movement. Why is the words not on my towards Black Lives Matters? So when you donate 20%, and you have to use the coupon code, all capitals, Little John's Yarn. Don't worry, all that information is down in the description box, so you don't have to write it down. So make sure you check out her shop. All her information is down below. So here's one of the first questions that somebody had to ask. All right, the best way to get a concept down on paper. So what do you use? Is it like sewing? How do you start this? How do you get your concept out?
I start with a sketch, just a rough sketch of the general shape of the item, just to get an idea of, you know, where the intakes and the outgoes are. And then quite often, actually, I cut out little bits of paper and I fold them like, you know, miniature little sewing patterns, because only then can you really see if it needs to be a square or a rectangle, you know, how the things need to fold. So sometimes I make little baby paper patterns, but most of the time I just sketch it out on paper. And I look for, the main thing is I look for recognizable shapes. I try and break down an item into its basic components. Mm-hmm. So is there a circle, is there a square or a rectangle? Because those are the ones that we know how to work with. So if I identify those geometric shapes, I have a starting point.
Got you. No, this might help. Let me bring up a picture for some of the other people. When she's talking about some of the basic shapes to make an outfit, let's see if here we go. Share screen. I believe, okay, this is one of the patterns I create. This is nothing like Christel's patterns. This is just some basic granny square squares. Her stuff is so beautiful. But as you can see, when I make anything, look, it's just a square and two rectangles. What she's talking about, maybe making a little cutout piece, just like this, so you can imagine what it looks like put together. Here we go. Let's bet. Oh, we have another super chat. I'm gonna have to fix the stuff behind me. I'm so upset it's not going off. Yay! I'm so sorry, Ellen. Cheers to you. Thank you so much for donating through super chat. And I'm gonna put your name on a list. Ellen Evans for donating, and you have a chance to win. Let me pull it up. This right up, that not there. This right here. Anybody who donates to Super Chat has a chance to win these 3 skeins of yarn. So back to us. What were
those are fantastic, by the way. I've got some here if you want to see them. But
can you bring it up so I don't have to show that picture anymore?
Can I show you what I'm making with it?
Yes, please. Okay, this is so much better. Oh, this yarn.
Yeah, that's Ferris wheel. So I've got this, where's the front?
Is this pattern in your shop? Yeah.
Not yet. It's a new one. It's a new one I'm working on. But this is Ferris wheel this way. And it starts from the bluish one, and then it goes into the buttercup is the bottom one. But it's beautiful in its color gradient. So yeah, it's a good one to win.
I mean, I love yarn like this because personally I can't color coordinate. Anything I wear black or solid colors or like a romper because I can't match. So if the yarn's already matched for me, it's like so much better. All right.
Absolutely.
Another question somebody had. So what type, do you use any type of software when you're creating your crochet designs?
I tried. I looked at things like Stitch Fiddle or some of the other things. Yeah, I can't do that. The barrier to entry is so high because the user interfaces are so complex. I just, and I'm a designer, it should make sense to me. But I write stuff down by hand. I have a book, I have a notebook, and as I create, I draw the notes, I write the pattern out by hand, and then I usually test it myself 2 or 3 times. I make 2 or 3 of the same thing in different sizes to just go through my
something. I can hear you. Keep talking.
Sure. So I just have this one book that has everything in it. So I like having the book with me where I'm sitting working on it. I find if I move to the computer and have to try and work on a software program, I lose touch with the creative side of it.
Yeah. See, I believe I guess I am considered a crochet designer. I consider you more so a crochet designer. What I do for selling on YouTube and my patterns, I have to make quick patterns. I have to be rolling out a tutorial every single 2 weeks. So therefore, my patterns are smaller and not as complicated. Yours, like you said, you have to test yours 2 to 3 times. I test my patterns like 2 to 3 times and send them to testers. But yours are big. I can test a hat in no time. How do you find the time? Because, everybody, she doesn't just do this. This isn't her fun full-time job. She actually has this amazing job. I wrote it down because it's like a long title. She's a web development and business consulting for a knitting cafe. That is a dream job. Oh,
it's gorgeous.
What do you think? Do you get to see, I know you're more like a consultant, but do you get to see like the yarn and what goes on?
I can pretty much get free yarn.
You get free yarn?
You get free yarn. But I try not to take too much because, obviously I'm trying to develop the business because I could clean it out. But it's called wool stock. So she has beautiful, beautiful yarn. And it's such a wonderful environment to work in because you bring your passion and your hobby and sort of business together, and it's I couldn't imagine it better. I kind of designed the job myself because I went to her and said she needed me, so I convinced her to hire me.
No, good job. We got a super chat from one of my favorites, Lori Murphy. Thank you so much. She says, very excited about this topic. So cheers to Lori Murphy. And if any of you have a question for Christel, please put like 3 question marks before your comment and ask. That way we're able to see when the questions come in the comments because it rolls so quickly. All right. So if you have any questions, put the little question marks ahead. All right. So what are the next questions? All right. How do you learn the language to write a pattern? The proper way to write. How did you learn how to write a pattern?
By making a lot of patterns. I wish there was some, I'm sure there are some sort of tutorials and websites about that. I haven't really looked at that, but I just created a lot of patterns to figure out what the general style was, and I did the famous ones. I did the ones that are sort of well developed, Sophie's Dream, and the well-known ones from Tatiana and those guys, because I felt that their language was pretty straightforward, even though the subject matter was really complex. But I think I'm actually thinking about doing a tutorial on the writing language, because I see a lot of questions come up constantly, the same kind of questions, where people don't understand how you work with the brackets and how the process flows. One example, that question that I got today actually was, people don't realize, for example, that the difference between doing 3 of the same stitch in 1 stitch or 3 stitches over the next 3,
yes.
For the one you would say 3 HDC
in the next
to have in the same stitch. If there have to be 3 consecutive stitches, it would be HDC times 3. So people keep writing to me, do I do all 3 in the same stitch? I go, no, you don't, because then I would have written 3 HDC.
Yeah.
So these basics, and about sort of reading the information inside the brackets as a unit, because people kind of read the first little bit and then they get stuck. You have to do the whole thing inside the brackets, or inside, the stars or whatever, annotations people use. Because those are the units of information. So, yes.
Okay.
So some of the basic language rules, I think I should do a video on that or something, just to help the people reading my patterns as well, because it would save them so many headaches and delays about asking, the really basic questions.
Yeah, when people see those, if a pattern's written well by a well designer like yourself, I always tell them, say it out loud.
Exactly. Read it. Read it loud.
Read it out loud. You can hear exactly what the designer is saying. Have double crochet in the next 3 stitches. What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm also thinking about, because a lot of the patterns that I've done before that I've seen are extremely technical, written in a very technical language where it could easily have been a slightly more conversational approach.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like, I don't want to end up sort of having a whole lot to read, but I like a balance between the super technical stuff and a slightly conversational. So I started in one of my patterns to go do an increase in every fourth stitch instead of going, HDC times whatever increase, comma, la la la. And
it sounds a little complicated.
Yeah, and you won't believe how many people really struggle. They're like, oh my gosh, this isn't in the language that I know. What should I do? And I said, well, trust the pattern. It says make an increase in every fourth stitch.
Yeah, it'll work.
It's actually pretty straightforward if you think about it, if you don't want to overcomplicate it. And I think people tend to, and I think that's where people struggle. They overcomplicate it in their minds already because they are intimidated by patterns. A lot of people are intimidated by pattern language. And so they overcomplicate it already, and they kind of work themselves into a frenzy. And I'm like, just trust the pattern, trust the words.
Yeah, just trust the words that's on a pattern. And listen, it'll come out right. If you know it's a well-known pattern designer, everything, we got these tests for you. It's okay. So
yeah.
One question from Lori Murphy. So is there a secret to knowing which stitch count for a certain stitch? I got a comment for this too, but you can go ahead.
There's no secret, but what I like to do, and we discussed it previously, but I wanted to mention it now. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of counting because I enjoy crochet as a hobby and as a relaxation thing, and I quite enjoy not having to count constantly and sort of worry and frog. I hate frogging. I refuse to frog. If I made a mistake, it becomes part of the thing. But so I work with measurements because I've also noticed that people's tension and the yarns and the hooks and whatever, the range of variation is so incredible that if you start using measurements rather than the various stitch counts, you end up with a much more accurate sizing. And most patterns have both the stitch count and the measurement, and people get so stuck on the stitch count they ignore the measurement completely, and they're like, that's actually the thing that makes the most sense, that matters the most.
Yes, if I can elaborate, when she's saying measurements, sometimes people are confused on how to even shape a garment if you're just now getting here. But let's say you're making a basic sweater. A basic sweater is just two squares put together with rectangles. Your body will drape it. So therefore, me personally, I'll go by the width of the shoulder, or not the shoulders, but the your bust size. And I cut that in half. If I want it to be baggy, I add a 1/2 inch. That's the size of the first square, the measurements.
Exactly. And once you start sort of, if your mind starts going, I mean, I can only really talk about patterns for wearables because that's all I do for now. I'm not going to try and comment on, the mandalas, the complicated mandalas and those things there. Your stitch count is incredibly important. Your gauge is incredibly important. Otherwise, it'll start wobbling. So, that's a whole separate science there.
Yeah.
But
for this one, you kind of answered this one already. She says, this is from Raina. I'm late, so this might have been asked already, but what do you find the easiest way to start determining the size and gauging for somebody's measurement? Because you said you don't really care about gauging,
Yeah, I've downloaded a bunch of, between European sizes and American sizes and Asian sizes, there's a vast difference in body measurement. So there's no universal, and people in America know how difficult it is to, you have one size, but in 4 different shops, it's completely different size on your body. So there's such an individual measurement. But that said, I've taken almost an aggregate of some of the charts that I found and said, okay, the range of a chest measurement for medium is between this and this. And so I've made a little chart of the average heights and the chest measurement, arm length, whatever. So I've got that pinned up on my wall, from baby size all the way to super plus size. And I try and keep the designs that I do flexible enough so that it's not, I don't do super seriously fitted stuff. I do things that are quite flowing so that there's a lot of play.
All of your patterns are so super adjustable for size. Like you can blank out while doing one of your patterns, like,
That's the plan. It's also, to be able to, one of the big things with the dress that I got constantly was people saying, how many chains do I start with? And I go, what's the chain count? They're so desperate to have a chain count. And I'm like, my love, you don't need it. Just measure it. Just make a chain and measure it. And if you use the chest measurement as a guide, that's a very good guide for a neckline. Because then you can be sure that it's going to go over the head. So I always tell people, use the chest measurement as a guide. And of course, you have a whole list of average chest measurements for every size. If you have the chest measurement, you're halfway there.
Yes. All right. The next one is from Iris Jenkins. How do you determine which yarn will work well with a particular pattern?
That's trial and error. Of course, one knows the basic attributes of the different fibers. Sort of acrylic can be very soft and drapey, but a little bit scratchy, and the acrylic tend to be a little bit thicker. And the thicker the yarn, the stiffer the result, unless you use a very, very big hook to give it to artificially create some drape. Because if you use the correct size hook for one of the worsted and up weights of yarn, it's going to be a compact sort of solid shape. A lot of my patterns use quite thin yarns because I'm looking for the drape.
Yeah.
So the yarn thickness is spectacularly important, and then the fiber. Something like wool is a little bit more solid. Cotton can be a little bit stiff. So you just have to kind of.
This is one of my own questions. What is your favorite weight yarn to work with?
Ooh, it changes. Yeah. I quite like the fingering weights of the gradient yarns for a very simple reason. They are the least strain on your hands. And I see on a lot of forums people complain about getting pain in their hands from crochet, and I see it on a lot of American forums because American people, from what I can tell, are quite used to worsted weight.
That's all we work with. I'm a worsted weight girl. Worsted weight here.
That's I'm forcing myself to make some patterns for worsted weight because I kind of have to join the club. But the lighter the yarn, the less strain on your hand. So if you have trouble with arthritis or cramps in your hand or carpal tunnel syndrome, it's amazing to switch to thinner yarns because the strain on your hand is so much less.
See, I did not know that. I assumed naturally it would hurt my hand more. Like now a thinner crochet hook is harder to work with. I didn't realize that. Thank you. I tried.
Yeah, that's my experience with it because the physical weight of the yarn has a pull on your hook, and that pull that you're countering all the time, especially if you go up in sizes to a J or a higher hook size, the strain on your hand, I cannot work. It's called an 8 millimeter for me. I think it's a K or something for American.
Wait, a J is 5.5. No, J is a 6 millimeter. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, bigger than that. but they're really sort of jumbo hooks. My hand, I can only do very short little bits with that before my hands are in agony. So I'm partial to the thinner ones, and also because all of these beautiful sort of gradient yarns and things, those tend to come in in fingering weight.
Okay, we got another question from Connie Tom. Hey, welcome back. I've never learned to read a pattern. I've always learned by watching. What is the best, fastest, easiest way to learn? Or is there a website you can recommend where I can learn this?
I wish I could recommend one single website. Like I said earlier, I find those resources a little bit limited from what I could find.
In America, if you want to learn how to, I'm not sure. Hopefully one of my moderators will be able to find this and put it in the comment section right now. I believe it's the American Crochet Society has a pattern writing class. I've never taken it myself, but that's what I've heard and people have been saying is wonderful. Okay. But go ahead, continue with.
Might be worth having a look for me as well.
How I learned how to write a pattern was probably just like you, by reading patterns, and the patterns that were most, almost like you said, conversational. I can 2 double crochet in 1 stitch, or what's the name? 2 double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next 3 stitches. If you read your patterns out loud, that's the only tip I always tell people. I don't know how to put it in better words to teach people how to read patterns.
And also, you know what? One of the things I've noticed is people just read the first little bit of the line. They should read the entire row or round to the end. And out loud is fantastic, because once you see the thing in its totality, it makes more sense. People sometimes get stuck on the first instruction of that set of one line, and you're like, if you read the rest, you know, it'll fall into place for you. So like I said to you earlier, people tend to overthink. So you know, they're expecting it to be super complicated when it's really just a simplified shorthand for you know, for the actions that all of us do over and over again. So the minute you realize what the shorthand is for the thing that you already know, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, just learn your symbols, read out loud. All right, we have another one. This is from Whips and Chains Crochet with Dawn. I like that. How do you know that a pattern you designed hasn't already been made before, so you aren't stepping on toes, so to speak?
That's a good question, because I spend a lot of time Googling, searching on Ravelry, Etsy, you know, everywhere, Facebook, everywhere I can, for the keywords of the patterns that I'm working with, to see if something comes up. But a surefire way for me is to include some of my individual details that I know are unique to how I designed. So even though some of the rest of it might look similar to something that's out there, if you include, you know, like a signature thing that you like doing, you're a little bit safer for that. But you never quite know. You know, it is possible that maybe somebody's done, but the odds of it, if it's a fairly complex thing, the odds of it being exactly the same are very, very low.
Yeah, and you know what? There's only so many ways you can twist dot.
Exactly.
If somebody's making a crochet beanie, it's been made probably before. So just make sure you're not copying like something extravagantly. You know what I mean? All right. Yeah. So next one. So how do you adjust? This is by Melanie, says, how do you adjust sizing by change? For example, how many additional chains do you need to go from size medium to size large?
So that question is really, how long is a piece of string? Because that depends entirely on the thickness of your yarn, the hook you're using, which is why I love working with measurements again. If you work with the measurement, you can't go wrong. You figure out what your own body measurements are, or the rough measurements are for the age of the person that you're working for, you're making something for. You know, these charts and things are available on Google. If you Google, you know, women's sizing chart or children's sizing chart, dress sizing chart, you get a whole lot of them, and then you can see which one feels right for you, because based on your own size on the chart, and say, okay, you know, this is similar to what I am in the right size, so I'll work with this chart. Okay. And then if you check according to the measurement, that's a whole lot easier.
Okay, and for those, there's also something, luckily hers doesn't involve this. Nobody likes crochet math, but I'm going to venture a little bit into crochet math if you can't take something by measurement. So we're going to take a field trip over to one of my own patterns and look at some crochet math. Well, actually, this one right here is by measurements, like Christel was talking about. This is one of my sweater patterns. Simple. Let's go down in here. Look, you don't have to know the chain count. You just got to know if you are small, you got to change till you make it to 43 inches. If you are an 2X, you got to change till you make it to 52 inches. That's all that you have to know. Here we go. And let's go back to crochet math. This is what I actually want to show you. For this simple slouch beanie, let's say you want to learn how to make it. Hold on. Okay, sometimes I always forget to pull up the screen share. Okay. And you want to make it bigger. It's not big enough for your head. We're going to look how rows increase. There's always a specific pattern for any type of circular hat. Now look at this. See the asterisk here and the asterisk here. Now look, DC in the next 2 stitches, then increase. The next row, DC in the next 3, then increase. The next row, DC in the next 4, then increase. DC in the next 5, then increase. Are you seeing a pattern? And if you needed a bigger hat, what would you do? Chain 2, DC in the next 6, then increase. This is crochet math. It's as simple as that. All right, let me show you one more thing for crochet math. A lot of people want to make, this is one of my patterns, make this for a man size and they couldn't increase it. All right. So we're looking at the first round. You're like, how many should I chain? For a small, you chain 20, medium 24, large, you would change 28. Let's say you wanted an extra large. An extra large would fit a size, probably a 11 to 12. Look at this. Each stitch count is 2 apart. 8, 10, 12. So what do you think if you wanted an extra large? You would chain 14. Everything is increased by 2. If you look closely, you can find a secret sauce in the crochet math. All right, and I wanted to show you one more thing for increasing for a hat. I have a link for how to increase appropriately. I wrote a blog post about it. All that'll be down in the description box below. Look at this circle. This circle is going to be like a chain stitch circle. As you can see, these loops count as a circle. And this is a double crochet. This is a symbol for a double crochet. But look how it increases on each row. 2. Row 3, you have 2 in between here. Row 4, you have 3 in between here. Row 5, you have 6. Row 6, you have 7. Look how it increases on each row. Crochet math. It's not complicated. If you just manage to look at the pattern, if you can't just crochet by size, just do the multiples. You got this. Okay, I'm going to hop into the comments. I know I missed we missed the super chat. Hey, this is one of my girls. Hold on, let me bring this up. I'm going to give her a cheers. Katie loves Crochet J. She says, I love this. Thank you so much for the tips. Where's your drink, Christel? Where is it? Okay. We have to be drinking together. Okay, did I miss any other super chats? Let's see. No, I did not. Oh, wait, I didn't write your name down to put you in the contest. KT. Wait, there we go.
I will show you the yarn that you're going to win in the meantime.
Yes. Loves Crochet J. All right, anybody who donates through super chat right now, you have the chance to win 3 skeins or skeins, I got told on. Some people say skeins of this yarn right here. So far, we have only 4 people. So the 4 people right now have a 25% chance of winning. So if nobody donates right now, you guys have a high chance of winning these 3 skeins of yarn. So awesome sauce. All right, let's scroll back down to some of these questions. If you have any questions for Christel, put 3 question marks of hitting your question so we can see exactly what I should be asking her. Wait, we got another super chat. Wait, where'd it go? I'm so mad my balloons and stuff are not going off right now. I got it. It's from Jacqueline Green. Thank you so much. Let me add you. Jacqueline Green. All right. Chances are getting reduced. I can't do my math. So that's 5 people. That would give, what's the math for that? What's the percentage for 5 people who donate through super chat?
20.
The numbers. All right. I'm not going to scroll through. I'm going to ask some of my questions here. Where were we? Oh, this was go ahead.
Have you got Laurie Murphy's name in there? I see she's asking if you've got her name in the bowl.
I know I got my girl Lori. Let's see. Oh my goodness.
Laurie.
No, Lori. I'm so sorry. I'm glad you asked. Lori, I'm sorry. I'm so glad you asked. After this live chat, don't worry. Well, if I missed you, no, because I'm going to announce the winner. So if I missed you, make sure I got 5 so far. I'm sorry. I feel so bad. And we have another person who donated. I can't miss this. Unapologetically Mocha. She is one of our return viewers. She donated $10. Thank you so much. I know you, so I can shorthand it. All right. What were we talking about?
You wanted to ask me one of your questions.
Oh, cheers to all the people who donated. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is a simple one. Okay. How do you make your patterns in a PDF?
I used to be a graphic designer, so I create my patterns in Photoshop and then I save it as a PDF. Mm-hmm. But I believe that there's so many. The easiest way, probably. There's another.
I see. Sandra, thank you so much. Love this live chat.
The easiest way is to do a Google Docs and download as a PDF. Mm-hmm. For me, either whether you're in Sheets or in the documents, you can just download as a PDF. Super easy.
Oh, we got a good one. Here we go. This is from one of my favorites also. Blind Stitch is Creations. Hi, Crystal. Do you have any advice for somebody who is blind who wants to design their own patterns? That's a tough one.
That's a great question. You know what? If you can crochet by feel, I think if you have it on your body and you crochet and fit and feel how things fit on you, and you stick to the basic simple shapes, of the rectangles or the or squares or the circles, you should be able to use the established formulae for making a circle or a square or a rectangle and incorporate those into the design. That might be an easy way to start. Okay. And then take it from there as you feel how things fit and how the things come together. You can start making it more complicated with different stitch, different stitches. But
so this kind of goes back with the whole software. Do you make your own diagrams?
No.
I wish I could, but then the software.
I tried. I really tried on. I've tried a few different ones, whatever they're called, and it is such a painful manual process. And then I thought, okay, because I actually have a. I'm going to find it for you. I finally did a lace pattern that would need a diagram.
Did we get another? Did I miss whips and change? I think I missed that one.
There you are.
Oh my goodness! Before you have to take a drink, I'm going to get you tipsy before this is over.
Oh my gosh, Jennifer!
I always lose. But what were you going to say?
So obviously, for a lace pattern, where are we now? There we are. You need to. It's easier to add a diagram, but I'm going to just do it by hand and take a picture of it because I spent so much time trying to put it together on a program, and I just felt it was wasting precious time that I could use making stuff.
We missed another one. Hold on. Did we do this one? We didn't do Jacqueline Green, right?
No, not yet.
Okay. Cheers, Jacqueline. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack.
Okay, let me write you down. Jacqueline Green. Thank you so much. Okay.
And there's a Helen Mendoza as well. That is she donated.
Oh, I missed Miss Unapologetic, Sandra Clemens. Am I missing? Wait, I think I get everybody. Who did I miss?
Helen Mendoza.
I don't think I got her. Jacqueline. Nope. Thank you. Put these back in. What is her name? Helen?
Helen Mendoza.
Helen.
I got you, Helen.
Everybody cheers.
Cheers. This is a party.
I know. I can't find Jacqueline's to take off. Where is it at? Nope, that's Whispers. Maybe if I pull up somebody else's and then take yours off. See, magic. Where are we at now? Let me find some more questions for us. I'm sorry. Oh, we're already 45 minutes in. Oh my goodness. And I haven't even touched even part of the questions. Okay, guys. If any of you have any questions, put a question mark right in front before you comment so it pops up front. And if you would like to enter the contest, anybody who donates through Super Chat, you'll see a $ here or down below, depending on your device. And when you do, you have the chance to win. Of what yarn, Christel, do they have a chance to win?
This
3 skeins of this yarn. Can you show one more thing what it looks like worked up?
There we are.
Of this yarn. It is called, let me pull up mine. It is Lion Branch Yarn Ferris Wheel.
Ferris wheel, yeah.
Yes. All right.
And the gradient is absolutely lovely on it.
That is gorgeous. I love it. So when you enter, I'm going to put your name in the bowl at the end of this live stream. Don't worry if you don't feel like staying for the whole live stream. Email me. Everybody who has donated, please email me at littlejohnyarns at well, it's all in the description box below. littlejohnyarns@gmail.com. And also, Christel is having her own sale in her shop. All her links are linked down in the description box below. And if you use the promo code littlejohnyarns, you'll receive a 20% discount. And every item that is purchased using this discount will be donated towards the Black Lives Matter movement. So thank you so much for that. So next question. Woo, this is from the Crochet Nurse, everybody. This is my interview for next week, the Crochet Nurse. She's going to be here. She's going to help us talk about our crochet pain and how to manage your weight while crocheting. I've gained 30 pounds. With hardcore crocheting, I've gained 30, 35 pounds. So she's going to help us. All right. Christel, she says, when you first started designing and putting out patterns, what did you find were the questions that were asked the most often?
I have one question that is on repeat constantly, and that's about sizing. And I see a lot of the questions that came up today were also about sizing. And I think that's the hardest part, is especially if you're making for somebody else and you can't measure on them, you're guessing about the sizing all the time. So that's not an easy one to solve for somebody writing patterns because people are so different. I've had 2 5-year-olds stand next to each other, and the other one was a head and a half taller than the little one, and they're like both 5, and I'm like, I'm making for a 5-year-old, but one's a giant. So that pattern, that question comes back very often. And then the other one that I got constantly, and which made me change one of my patterns, was people struggled to understand the difference between, like I said to you before, 3 HDC versus HDC times 3, which is, 3 into the same stitch or 3 into subsequent stitches. So I actually changed it around to say crochet into the next stitches and increase into the 5th stitch, so something along those lines. So those are the things that people struggle the most to figure out, sort of the sequence of events.
Yeah. All right. I think this was kind of more for me since I crochet YouTube. All right. This from Have a Yarn with Charlie. When designing a pattern and making tutorial, do you record while you're creating, or do you make 2? Well, for myself, I create the pattern, and then I make sure, sometimes I create the pattern and make sure it's right, and then I create the video tutorial. But then I have to send my pattern to my pattern testers. It's a weird cycle. I have you don't do videos, do you? No.
I have some videos, mainly just for the sticky points of some of my patterns. I have it on my hands, and I just sort of do it for there. So yes, I'm on as Christel Riley Watts. So you can give me a follow. But it's really just you know, the sticky parts of my patterns where I get a lot of questions about a process. So I make a little video of that.
See, for me, my patterns, for one pattern, I have a lot because I create a blog, I sell a pattern, and I create a tutorial. So I create the pattern, I get it right, then I pattern test, and then I video, and then I publish the blog.
It's
all on one day. Well, not on one day. It's all published one day. Let's see. Scroll. All right, so I'm going to hop back into this. I don't see any more. Remember, if you have any questions, put a question mark ahead of it. So let's skip crochet math. We don't want to do that. All right, this is in the designing clothing. When creating a cardigan, where do you begin? Like style, shape? That was one of the questions somebody asked.
Yeah, I start with shape. Because like I said before, I think of the shape that I want to achieve, and then I identify the geometric shapes of the components. So I see, am I working with rectangles? Am I working with a square? So I start with the geometric shapes that make up the general shape that I want, and then I try and figure out how I'm going to create those shapes in the easiest way possible.
Okay, this is kind of a repeat one, but you can still elaborate. This is from, Marina, I can't pronounce this, Marina, Yarnin and Darnin, let's just say that. Is there a general size guideline for various sizes? Like a medium is so many inches or centimeters?
I wish there were, but it's so different across continents, across even inside America. If you Google size chart, you will get a different one on every single chart. Yes. So my suggestion is to find the chart that is closest to your own measurements that you know for yourself, so that you have an idea that you're working with something that you're familiar with. And then work with that chart. You know, there it would say what the range is. So medium would be, chest measurement for medium would be between, like I happen to know this, 4-year-old is between 21 inches, 20 to 21 inches for a 4-year-old child. So you find a chart that makes sense to you and print it out, stick it up, work with that.
Yeah, in America, I usually go by the, if one of my moderators would be so wonderful, I'm so sorry to ask you to work so hard. It is through the Craft Yarn Council. They have this is for American sizes. Like she said, wherever region you are, every size is completely different. And America is known for vanity sizing. So therefore, I followed their charts. Like she said, for a large would be 38 inches to 40 inches. That's kind of close, but something like that would be a large. I just use their recommended sizes. Even when I go to make a crochet slipper, I just look at the size for each shoe size, and I make my slipper within that size. Let's see. Any more questions? Kind of the crochet noise. I've been drinking, girl. The crochet nurse. Good point on sizing. Compare chachos to can't. Oh man, you're using big words. Torrids. Yikes. Oh, here's another good one. Wait, here we go. A name. I'm just going to say Miss Owens. Are women's garments harder to design or men's garments? And what do you just freestyle first and then make the pattern?
I freestyle. I absolutely freestyle. I start and I want to go in a general direction. So I know the basic principles of increase or decrease. So you start and you kind of see, okay, this needs to go flatter. So you increase a little bit more regularly. So I kind of freestyle to start. I think women's patterns are a little bit more complicated than men's. I think with the men, you can get away with just sort of squares and rectangles for most of it. But for women's patterns, you want a bit of drape, you want a bit of flair. So, it can get pretty complicated for women.
All right. This is from Jesus or Jesus. How do you find out the color combinations?
I love working with yarns that have done that for me. Color gradient yarns or color shift yarns. I adore color change yarns. So, if somebody's done it for me, then I'm not going to second guess it.
All right, from Langston Hughes. Sizing of the arms, please help.
Or measuring tape. Yeah, arms are tricky because, you know, the main thing about arms, the mistake people make is they make the part under the arm either too big or too small. So if the part that runs under the armpit is too big, you get this giant sort of droopy arm thing. And if it's too small, then it cuts into your armpit. So there are no actual rules around that. You really just have to measure your comfortable sort of, you know what, actually a very easy way is measure other garments that you have. If you're making it yourself, find a sweater that you like, or a dress that you like, or a jacket or a shirt or something, and measure the armpits or the length of the arms or the, you know, parts of the pattern on those parts, and then you'll have a much better guideline for what you're trying to create.
Okay, we have, oh, just so you know, I've seen you. Thank you so much, Connie. She said, did you enter Helen into the drawing? Let me make sure I didn't put Helen in there twice so she doesn't get like an added benefit. I just wrote it in there. Because am I so far behind on the super chats? I haven't been seeing any. Here we go. Could you tell them what they get for super chat? Nope. What's Helen's last name? I don't want to miss you.
I think she was Mendoza.
Mendoza. Did I write that down? Yes, I did. Here it is, Helen Mendoza. You almost got entered in there twice. Let me take that extra one out. Okay, go ahead.
Here's the yarn you can win.
All right. Anybody who donates via super chat, you have a chance to win 3 skeins of this yarn. This is my way of saying thank you. I'm going to try to do this every single week. I was donating the yarn from my stash, but I realized if I just use Amazon Prime and send it to you, it's probably more affordable. So let's hop back into these questions. Here we go.
What are the rules for increase and decrease? I would love to answer that one, actually.
Yes.
The main thing about increasing and decreasing is to do it gradually. Because if, like, for example, on one of the yokes of my dress pattern, I'm going to see if I have it here. I can show you. It's a little dark, so you can't really see, but you kind of want it to lie flat on the shoulder, which means that your increase has to be quite gradual. So you start with an increase on every 5th stitch, and then the next one on every 6th stitch, and then the next one on every 7th stitch. And so the increase or the decrease is gradual, and you don't have a bulging, you know, billowing thing, unless you want that. If you're shaping under the boobs, for example, and you want it to go in quite drastically or dramatically there, you would have your decreases quite close together. So the closer together the decreases are, the more drastic the change. So
okay, can I show them a picture of here we go. This is just a hat, as what she was saying, the gradual increase. Look at that, as this is round 4, increase by 2 stitches, 3, 4, 5. If you want to increase some more, the next row will be DC in the next 6. A gradual increase on each row. There we go. Let's bring back us again. All right. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you put a question mark right ahead of it. All right. Let's scroll down. Did I miss anybody? Oh, here we go. Do you color pull in your designs?
Not yet.
I accidentally color pull.
I would love to do an Argyle pattern, but at the moment I'm a little stuck on the long gradients. So once I'm tired of the long gradients, I'll go for pooling.
Okay. Brittany 815, is designing your own patterns easier than using another designer's pattern?
No, your own patterns are terrifying because you have the weight of people's expectations on you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's a terrifying process, and also you don't want to disappoint people. You know, you've done things, and people sort of create expectations around it, and it gets more and more stressful with sort of every subsequent pattern you release, because you've created a style, and Yeah, I know it's terrifying. It's a terrifying process, actually.
I want to make a comment on when somebody says freestyle. Somebody told me this once. Technically, there is no freestyle because everything has a base, like a hat. To make a circle, there's always a mathematical way to make it. To work your crochet around a corner, there's 3 stitches in a corner or 2 stitches, chain 1, 2. There's always a mathematical way behind it. So nobody's actually freestyling. Am I making sense, Christel? Am I?
There is actually a way that you do a freestyle version where they work with spirals and they kind of connect them almost like crochet. Yeah. So that, inside that spiral, yes, you would use the crochet mats for that, but you kind of just follow your yarn where it goes and you make a shawl or something. For me, I shape as I go. So when I talk about freestyling, it's just I sort of feel whether it's staying nice and flat, whether it's starting to wobble. If it starts to wobble, I know I need to tone down my increases. So I in that sense I freestyle.
Okay, we got
okay. There was one question that I really wanted to answer because I think that's super important. She asked whether when I measure the chain, whether I stretch it out or relax the chain when I measure it. And the answer is exactly in between, not stretched and not completely relaxed, half stretched. Because that your stitches, once they go into the initial chain, stretch it out a little bit. But if you stretch it out sort of really thinly, it's going to end up being too small.
Yes.
So just gentle stretching.
Good answer. Okay. Oh, here was one from one of our friends, Black Rimmon Studios. I imagine there's a lot of frogging and designing.
There should be, but I hate frogging, so I don't do it.
You don't?
Very little, because I hate doing it. So I kind of very often I kind of just fudge the design. If it's going in a direction, I kind of just adapt it as I go so that I incorporate my my errors. But I frog very rarely. I hate frogging.
Frogging burns my heart.
It does, mine too.
Like I said, I no longer, it feels like I don't crochet for fun anymore as a crochet designer. This crochet wrap that I have on right now, do you think I made this? I bought it. I'm a crocheter. I bought it from another crocheter because I do not have time to make a crochet pattern. I mean, make my own something for fun. Everything I create is for a pattern. So I'm like,
you know what? I actually have a very distinct delineation between work crochet and hobby crochet, because I have a couple of works in progress at the same time, because some of them are patterns being developed, and I have to have just plain old hobby projects in between. Otherwise, I'll go crazy.
This is a question just for me. How many patterns how often do you publish a brand new pattern?
You know what? To be honest, I am about 5 patterns behind. I have about 5 patterns ready to write up and release. And let me show you one of them. I've made a bear chair. It's like a toddler chair that sort of hugs you when you sit.
And genius.
It is so soft and squishy and sweet, and I'm dying to release this pattern, but I'm so behind.
What's taking so long? See,
my work.
I'm like, that's so beautiful. I don't got time to make it. I think I might be one of the only crocheters who buy from other crocheters. And this is actually my pattern. I wrote the pattern for this, and I didn't make it. I didn't even make it. That chair. Hurry up. We want that chair.
Oh, cool. Maybe now I'll have to.
This is just me. This is not a question, or this is just a comment. I am so amazed by designers that come out with something brand new. I've never seen that. That's not something copy. I mean, I guess you've seen a doggy pattern, but I've never seen. That's going to be your viral piece. Everybody, me and Christel were talking about How do you get that borrow piece? That borrow piece was the mermaid blanket. It is the pocket shawl right now. That's the messy bun a couple years ago. You got your pocket shawl?
I got my pocket shawl.
I know all you crocheters that got friends have sent you the link for them to make you this pocket shawl. That is,
I'm in love with this thing. It's really lovely. It's a good pattern. It's very nice.
If you release that, that'll be the new cat couch.
Maybe I have to put some effort into it, because the reason why I made it is I wanted to create something that was I don't have any beginner patterns. All my patterns are for intermediate. I actually use 2 pillows for the filling, just 2 standard 40 centimeter or whatever. What's that, like 25-inch pillows. And then normal polyfill for the arms and the legs.
That is so genius.
And it's a beginner friendly pattern because it's really simple shapes. It's just about how you put it together. So I think that's why I'm terrified. I'm scared of beginner patterns.
No, these are the people that love you the most. Can you imagine how many people, myself, I was crocheting. You've been crocheting for 4 years, so you don't count. But the rest of you guys in the audience, understand me. I was crocheting literally for 30 years and thought of myself as a beginner. But if you know the 5 basic crochet stitches, slip stitch, chain, half double crochet, you can make anything. It just all depends on the pattern designer. And we're going to give a cheers to Have a Yarn with Charlie, tooting my own horn, LOL. I designed a kitchen boa. Good job, Charlie. Drink up. Wait, you just cheers. Put it in your mouth. And Janice said, that is a cute puppy chair.
Thank you. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call for some testers on some of the Facebook forums, because I've only done the one. Normally I make 2 or 3 of the same thing to test it myself, but I don't have the time for this one. So I think I'm going to call for testers.
Oh, that was another question. How do you find testers?
I have a couple of forums where I find people that I know. So one of them is the Hobby Yarn forum, because those are people that have tested for me a few times. Testing is very tricky because a lot of people, especially ones that I don't know, tend to say, "Oh, I want to test for you," but actually they just want to
free pattern.
And then they disappear. So you kind of have to factor that in. But I feel it's tested if 3 people come back and they're happy with it. So. And on top of, I'm an absolute perfectionist with my patterns before I even get it out to testing. So I'm pretty confident that there are no mistakes by the time that I send it out for testing. And then it's really just to see whether there are things that could be put in ways that are easier to understand.
Yeah.
And that by the way, is I'm going to show you again, because I actually designed a stitch for it. I wanted a stitch that looked a lot like knitting.
Yeah.
And
half double crochet?
No. The ones that are available that it's just half double crochet into the 3rd loop or those didn't give me such a smooth finish.
Yeah.
So this is actually working with slip stitches. But I'll release it into the
wait. Pull it closer. I need to see this closer. Put this right up to the camera. That's slip stitches?
Yeah, slip stitch into the 3rd loop.
Oh, that looks just like knit.
I know, and I could not find this anywhere, so I made it myself.
Oh,
because I wanted the face to kind of have the knitted look and then the crochet details on top. So and I've just done corner to corner for the backs of the.
That's cute.
Of the thing, so that it's quick to do.
You
know, so the corner to corner work up really quickly, and then the little kitchen feet and paws. There you are.
That is so cute. But I'm stuck on this new knit. Has anybody done this stitch?
Not that I could find. There's one that's almost the same, which gave me the idea to do this one, but I changed it. So
everybody, in like 5 billion years of crochet, wow. Slip stitch into the third loop.
If it's out there, I haven't found it.
Oh my, I've never thought to use it.
Yeah,
so double crochet into the third stitch, it leaves that gappy space from
ribbing. It becomes ribbing. So if you do this,
I got another question.
Yeah.
I love the way the reverse side of the half double crochet into the third stitch looks. What does it look like on the other side? I know you can't show because it's finished. Is it
I can't remember, but it was smooth. It was fine. It looked a little bit just like normal single crochet.
Okay, field trip everybody. Here we go. We're gonna go to YouTube. I hope I can find my tutorial. I don't know, my internet's been going extremely slow. And I got it plugged in, it shouldn't. There we go. Little John, I can't spell my name. John's Yarn Crochet Reversible Headband. Here it is. Okay, this headband is done with a half double crochet into the third loop. And on the opposite side, it makes this nifty looking stitch. Here we go. Let's see if we can find it. We don't want the volume on. Okay, this is what the opposite side of a reverse double crochet knit stitch looks like. On the opposite side, here we go. That's one side. And this is the other side. What her stitches, see all these gaps in between my space? This is done with a half double crochet. Hers is done without that gap, and it looks so, there we go, so much better. That's why I was intrigued what's the other side looks like. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, other side is similar to the other side of yours, just a little tighter.
Okay, all right. Remember, if any of you guys have any questions for Christel, please leave a question mark in your comments so we can find it. And also, this will be probably the last 8 minutes for this contest. So at 1 hour and 20 minutes, we're going to wrap this up and we're going to announce the winner of the contest. If you donate anything through Super Chat, you have a chance to win this yarn. 3 skeins of, what's the name of it? I'm sorry. It is
Lion Brand Ferris Wheel.
Yes, Lion Brand Ferris Wheel yarn. So that'll be yours. So anything donated now, I'll put your name into the drawing and put you in the, oh, here it is, the cup here. All right. Any other questions? We'll wrap this up. No, usually, okay, this has been fun. Usually my lives only go exactly an hour. So you have been fun. Oh, we have a super chat. We have a yarn with Charlie. Cheers, Charlie. Here we go. Thank you for the great advice you said.
Thank you.
Good luck. I hope you win this yarn. Have a yarn with Charlie. And when you donate through Super Chat, it helps me continue to invite people like Christel on this live stream and give you all this great information. And next week, we will be having the crochet nurse here. We're going to be talking about how to be healthy and crochet and pain. And the week after, we are going to have a game show. I'm having a crochet game show, Christel.
Cool.
I bought this wheel. Hopefully it will come in soon next week, where I'm going to do some prizes. I'm probably going to break my own bank instead of giving just away one prize, but you guys are so awesome. I just want to give stuff away because for so much support. Okay. Did I miss any? Oh, here we go. Iris Jenkins. Any tips for combining different stitch types to make a pattern, like the lemon peel stitch and double crochet?
Absolutely. A good one that I found out the hard way is that anything with a single crochet, it can be a lot tighter. So I saw with a blanket, I was doing a blanket for my father-in-law, and I was combining sort of moss stitch, granite stitch, you know, with double crochet, whatever. And the sides of the blanket were doing this, in and out, because you know, the different stitches have a very, very different tension and also a very different drape. You know, the tighter stitches, anything with a single crochet, the longer the stitches are, the better the drape. So the short stitches, the slip stitch, the single crochet, up to single crochet, give very tight sort of shaping. That's why I use it for amigurumi. And then going up to half double, double crochet, taller ones, they have much better drape. And one thing I wanted to say that I also see people comment on often is they complain about the stitches into the third loop, which a lot of my patterns use. And they're scared that it is too flimsy, but because it is across the whole row, it's held together by the other stitches, and it gives such a lovely drape. So I love the third loop, and if you don't know how to do it, go Google it on YouTube and learn it, because it's wonderful.
It is. I wanted to say thank you to Brittany Sullivan. She said, thank you so much for covering this topic. It's given me more confidence to try to create my own new patterns. And wonderful. We have another one from Toro 8 Star. Everybody, raise your cup. You drink it. And cheers. So, okay, we're starting to get a couple people, but this still, we think you have probably a 1 in 10 chance right now to win 3 skeins of yarn, 3 skeins of Lion Brand Ferris wheel yarn. There we go. Yep. Right there. All right. Anybody? Oops. Cheer. Everybody said, Victoria said cheers. Let's see. Does anybody else have any questions? I got a question for you. How do you stay motivated when doing this? Do you ever feel like I can't do this anymore?
You know what? That's such a good question, because especially with my Abigail fairy dress, which is the one that I've sold the most of by far, people started showing little videos of the little girls that they made these dresses for, twirling and being so happy. And every time I cry my eyes out, because I'm so happy. You just see the joy in these little girls with these dresses that are twirling. And that keeps me going, because I keep thinking about the people. Crochet is such an act of love, because it's so hard. It's so much time. It's almost impossible not to pour something of yourself into the thing that you're making. And then when somebody receives it and their joy in it, that could keep me going for decades.
Oh, see, I've always, that was my exact words. Crochet is something of love. Most of the people who crochet have always given away like crochet for free. It's just something that we do. Oh, one more thing. Here we go. Let me pull back this up. How do you advertise your work?
Word of mouth. I should advertise a little bit more. Also because I only started sort of 8-9 months ago. It's actually still fairly new for me. But I find the crochet forums on Facebook to be enormously valuable, because when people make it and they post the pictures of it or the videos, everybody goes, "Where's the pattern? Where's the pattern? Where's the pattern?" Like the seagulls. So that's pretty much. I don't really advertise, deliberately anywhere. It really is just from other people making it.
Okay, there we go. For myself, go ahead. Did I miss something? Wait.
There's a donation that hasn't shown up. Janice Urfa.
I looked at that one. Janice Ufer, I just commented on hers. I sent you a message. Did you donate through PayPal or Super Chat? It doesn't matter where you donate. I just wanted to know exactly where you donated from.
She says PayPal. Yeah.
Oh, PayPal. Wait, let me get you in there, Janice.
Janice.
Urf. I'm not going to say your last name anymore because it just sounds like a sound. Okay, and we got a Josie Moore. She donated also. Cheers to her and Janice. Where's your cup? Where's your cup?
Janice
and Josie. Josie Moore. Thank you so much for donating through Super Chat. All right, any more questions? Have I missed any questions?
Yeah, there's one about Tunisian. I bought myself a whole set of Tunisian hooks, and I got really irritated with them, and then I gave them away.
I do not like, okay, everybody knows I love a half double crochet or bigger. Tunisian crochet, no. Oh, we got like 50 seconds left, not even. So far, you got a 1 in 12 chance of winning 3 skeins of yarn. If you donate through Super Chat, you have a chance of winning this yarn. I'm going to close this out in like 30 more seconds. So we're going to see who the winner is, and I'm going to pick from here. And don't worry, anybody who donated, make sure you email me so I'll be able to find you, because it's hard to find all of you people who donate. Okay, what were we talking about? I forget. I don't know.
I kind of think we went through questions. Did you want to see if there was another one you wanted to ask of your own?
Let's see. All right, I probably got another one here, and we'll be wrapping it up soon. So I'm not going to keep you all day. I know it's later where you are than I am. All right, let's see. But yeah, measurements. Actually, that's pretty much it. So what are you working on currently?
This one with the Ferris wheel yarn.
Yeah.
Because everybody's crazy about pockets at the moment. I figured out a way to do a hidden pocket. Like a little that way. Tiny little hidden pocket. So I'm doing a sort of a combination between a cape and a poncho with a cowl at the top. And I wanted to make a pocket that's really easy that you don't have to sew on, because I see a lot of people complain about the sewing.
I hate sewing. I try to avoid it.
I've designed everything I do with no sewing. So I made a pocket that that's going to have no sewing in it. So
yay. All right. I guess it is time. We are going to pick the winner of the 3 skeins of yarn. Let's see who it is. Well, I should probably close my eyes better. Here we go. So I dropped it. I dropped you. You're on the floor. It is Have a Yarn with Charlie. So Have a Yarn with Charlie. I seen you comment a couple times. Please, cheers, everybody. Ready to Have a Yarn with Charlie? You have won 3 skeins of yarn. Please email me at littlejohnsyarn@gmail.com. You can find my email address down in the description box below. You just won. Wait, yes, Josie, she was added. She was added. Don't worry, Josie was in there. I got her. But good job looking out for her. But congratulations, everybody, and cheers. Let me leave you there. Please don't forget to email me. All right. Christel, you did it. How was this live stream? Were you nerve-wracked? Were you crazy?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. It's so social. It's really lovely to have the participation of people. It's great.
And I want to thank you to J Hook Crochet for introducing me to Christel. It was the best thing ever. That's one thing. I know this live stream is almost over. How do you guys know each other? I didn't ask that simple question.
She's one of my test knitters from Hobby Creation. So she's done a test knit for me, and we started chatting with each other. She made a bunch of my patterns, really lovely sort of versions of it. So
Reggie's a little like phenomenon. She's like, I call her one of the other people. There's many that got this label, but she's crochet glue. Before meeting Reggie, I didn't know any other crocheters or YouTubers or bloggers or pattern makers, but she like collects these people with all these knowledge and introduces us to each other. Like without Reggie, I wouldn't know any other YouTubers. I wouldn't know any other crocheters. She's like, she emailed me. She only had like 300 subscribers or something at the time, but she went off on this big venture to do this whole Christmas collab where we all do videos, and I loved it. And she caught my heart, and I love Reggie. Reggie, if you're listening, you are the best. J-Ho Crochet, you are the best thing in the whole entire world. I am so thankful I have met you. Everybody, raise your cup right now. Cheers.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. One more question. You answered this, and then we'll wrap this up. This is from Brini815. You can answer this. Do you have to pay? No, you didn't answer this. Do you have to pay pattern testers and pattern editors?
You don't have to, but I tend to send them. If they did a lot of effort and took pictures and sent me really nice pictures, I try and send them a yarn voucher or something to the value of the yarn that they use, just as a thank you. You don't have to, but I just think it's nice, and it helps keep the relationship two-way street.
Yeah, me personally, I've never paid my pattern testers. I'm so thankful for them. Without them, I would not know how to write a pattern correctly. but I pay my pattern editor. So I have like 2 groups of people. I have pattern testers, and after my pattern testers finish it, I send it to my pattern editor. And luckily, I have a very affordable pattern editor. She is so wonderful. If you need one, a pattern editor, she's 9 Inspired. We'll talk about this after the fact.
Well, I'll ask you. I've never had that. I do my editing myself, so I would love that.
It is so nice. My pattern editor, she's like, I recommend you using these brackets instead of that. I'm like, you're right. She fixes, like, sometimes your pattern editors, they're just regular people like me and you. They don't catch everything. They don't catch the punctuations. She's never missed a beat. I'm going to have to list her down in the description box below because she's her own blogger. She's a small blogger, but as an editor, awesome. Oh,
wonderful.
I got a question. What is a pattern editor? A pattern editor is like a book editor. They make sure everything's written. There's so many ways you can write a pattern, from pattern writer to pattern writer. They can write the same pattern differently. So therefore, my pattern editor makes sure I'm consistently putting forth the same type of crochet language all the way through my pattern. Because sometimes I won't even realize I'll switch around from one way or the other. And she'll catch that every single time for me. So I'm so grateful for her. All right.
Hey,
so
this has been great.
It's been great. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to send me any type of happy mail through Gmail, my email address is littlejohnsyarns@gmail.com, or you can do the snail mail way. I have my address listed down below. And remember, please check out Christel's Etsy and Ravelry page. She's offering 20% off on all of her patterns if you use the promo code littlejohnsyarns. All that information will be down below.
It's actually a buy one get one free. It's a buy one get one free.
Oh yes.
Yes. And 20% of the income will be donated to a Black Lives Matter charity of your choice.
I've been saying it completely wrong.
No worries.
I'm sorry. I've been saying it wrong. Yes, exactly what she said. All right, guys, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all on the very next live stream or tutorial.
Thank you so much.